I'm Ben Wiper, founder of 3F. After 10 years working in finance in salmon and cod, I figured out how to make fish waste worth more than the seafood. Our waste to value biotech solutions help fish processors make more money from the fish heads, skins, and bones they already have. Processors waste 60% of the cod. New and rising disposal costs are killing their already slim margins, and only the biggest can afford to consolidate quotas. They don't have enough profits or skilled workers to transition to zero waste on their own. 3F is processors' one-stop shop to the circular bioeconomy. We use our intellectual property and high-skill, low-cost workforce to integrate directly into processing plants. Processors sell us local fish waste and earn a rent on otherwise unused production capacity. 3F makes compost, pet treats, and collagen and sells it to our customers. Our IP portfolio lets 3F make a lot of money from the fish backbones, heads, and skins. Our compost is optimized for leafy greens and root vegetables in northern climates. Our pet treat automation and supply beats everyone on price. And our 3 fish collagens, optimized for pet supplements, hot coffee, and cold smoothies and alcohols, are the key to waste to value wealth creation today. 3F makes money on license fees and commissions, on the right to make and the right to sell its products. We operate at a margin in the plants as a co-packer and take a small equity stake in plants we acquire with our strategic customers, or swap equity and integrate with strategic suppliers. Similarly, we sell at a commission on the product sold and partner with strategic customers for growth. So what is collagen? It's the most valuable use for fish waste and the most essential protein for the strength and elasticity of our skin, bones, and joints. Pig and cow collagen are the most common, but aren't safe for medical uses. Our pure, clean cod collagen has been identified as a key ingredient to enable 3D printing of heart valves, skin grafts, and medical implants. Our model gives us a flexibility to scale to 250 million global annual sales in the next 24 months. Phase 1 focuses on Atlantic Canada and Eastern US fisheries, adding haddock and redfish processors, and tapping into Iceland's 27 times larger cod quota. Phase 2, we strategically partner with processors in Scandinavia and establish our European sales beachhead. And in phase 3, we establish our supply, sales, and R&D for the Asia Pacific market via strategic licensing in South Korea. 3F wins the fish waste to collagen battle by making processors the most money for the least work. Besides our natural geography and industry insider advantages, our best available technologies for fish waste means we can pay the most for it. Our low-cost collagen from fish heads undercuts competitors' prices and solves the processor's biggest problem by volume. Maximizing profits from the heads ensures we have the fish skins we require to make the pharma collagen at scale. Our team of fisheries insiders and bioprocessing and clean tech experts bring more than 200 years of combined experience to the table. We need to build our team to accelerate growth. Specifically, we're looking to add capital raising, intellectual property, biomedical, and pharma expertise, including potential co-founders, to allow me to focus on growing the supply and manufacturing base of the company. We've graduated the top accelerators, including Foresight, EarthTech, and Ocean Supercluster, raising $1 million in non-dilutive grants and loans, and sales of skins, compost, and pet treats of almost $500,000 in the past 2 years. We've demonstrated that our model works, and we need money and expertise to scale. We're looking to raise $2.5 million for a 10% equity stake by end of year so we can execute our IP strategy and buy the equipment that we need to fill our collagen purchase orders for all 3 grades. Thank you for listening.
And of course, folks, if any of you are seeing this, none of this is solicitation, financial advice, or any of that yada, yada, yada. We are putting this out there for investors that are interested to get in touch, that are accredited, run funds, etc., or are part of Forward VC's accredited investor syndicate. Ben, thanks for presenting. Awesome pitch. Let me pull Craig back in. One of the questions that I had initially, based off of our last conversation, is Where are you at with the structuring of the entities? Because you do have a lot of different directions that you are going, both in terms of either on the producer side or the B2B side, as well as the facility side. How do you see that going forward, and what's the direction?
Yes, thank you, Matt. And then the probing of this has been very worthwhile pursuit over the last month or so. Where I see it going is centralizing the intellectual property within an entity or perhaps a division, depending on where the investor interest is, if it's in the whole model or if it's within a certain component, whether it's the IP, the manufacturing side, or the sales side. And so that's where we see either in a divisional structure or within separate entities, an IP co, a manufacturing co, and a sales co, each one having the right to do those various activities. The plan that I would like to, the reason for that is I like fish processing. I like making products, and that's where I want to spend my time. At the end of the day, if you don't have the materials and a place to make it, the IP can't really be put into use in the most profitable way and for the impacts that I'm trying to accomplish. So I see us being able to sell off larger pieces, hopefully, or license regionally the IP to raise capital to build up our manufacturing and equipment portfolio.
I wanna go back and double click on something. You said I like fish processing, which I don't think is a common sentence people say. What exactly got you to be fascinated about this, and why cod?
I like fish processing because it's rural and isolated, and so there's a lot of operational independence. It's kind of like the Wild West. Gets me waking up in the morning, and you run into a lot of interesting people and characters. I've also spent a lot of time in consulting up to this point in my first 20 years, basically, of my entrepreneurial career. And it left me unfulfilled. I want to make something, something I can see. And cod is the synonymous fish of Newfoundland and Labrador. We, in 1992, went into moratorium on cod. We were hauling more than 800,000 metric tons a year out of the ocean. And Iceland was doing similar, hauling out 500,000 or so. And stock collapsed, and Newfoundland, basically the rural outports just died, and just communities collapsed overnight. And Iceland turned to biotech, applied to byproduct. And I saw an opportunity to learn from that lesson 30 years later and try to bring it over to Newfoundland, which has a very unique situation, which is why our model is different, because it only has 1% of global cod, whereas Iceland has 27% of global cod, which is why they can have a whole 50 company ecosystem. Whereas in Newfoundland, you only got enough materials really for one company to feasibly utilize it all.
And you guys are planning to really utilize it all. So collagen from cod heads, your technology and your IP is purely on the cod head side of things, or can you work with other species of fish as well?
That's a great question, and it's really key to our supply security and our scalability. So we can make our collagen, our 3 recipes. So there's a pet supplement collagen, which is easy to market, right? There's not a lot of export restrictions. You don't have to get into health bodies to get it into market, and so on. We can make that from the heads of the fish. Nobody else, no other collagen to make on earth today can make a collagen that's clean enough from the heads to actually sell it on the market. So that's kind of one thing we can do. The great thing about that is there's 5 times the volume by weight of heads, even though the yield is about 50%. So we actually tap into a 2.5 times increase in global feedstock for collagen by using the heads when you multiply the volume by the yields relative to skins. Skins are only about 7% of the fish, whereas the heads are more like 37% of the weight. So by controlling the most value of the heads, we can get the skins. Now you have to use the skins to make the high grade collagen because the molecular size is smaller. It's a pure, cleaner starting point. And so The second recipe, because the pet grade and our coffee tea hot one, it's the same product, just one's at human grade. It has a longer time to market because of health and regulations on food. But the high grade, we have to use the skins, but we get that because we're using half the fish weight in the heads that nobody else is using at high value right now, other than fish sticks, essentially. We get the skins, which are only 10% of the weight by volume, to make a collagen that right now retails at $1,000 a gram or $1 million a kilo at wholesale, or at in lab supply books. So you have to control the heads to get the skins, and no other collagen maker on earth right now is even bothering with the processor's biggest problem. And that's where my insider information on knowing the fish industry lets us solve that big problem, but then we're able to get the supply and not compete on the material we need.
So the theory is we'll buy your heads, and because we buy your heads, you're going to give us the skins too.
Exactly, because we can just turn around and say, Mr. Processor, who's maybe doing 10 million pounds a year, 60 million of that is waste, and of that 60 million, 37 million of it is the heads. You say, okay, boys, you can go send that to the landfill at $80 a ton again, or you can give us the skins for a fair price.
Okay, I have one other question. You said no one else is using the fish heads, and then you reference fish sticks. And that made me wonder what exactly that was about. Are they grinding fish heads and putting them into fish sticks?
Yes. Sorry, I meant nobody has collagen from fish heads specifically. The current uses is grinding it up, either for animal feed if it's low grade or it's deteriorated, not been stored properly, or you mince it up for fish sticks. Our move is just provide them the same net margin end of day, and then they don't have to invest in the labor, the CapEx equipment to basically cost recover.
Understood.
Well, I have never. It's been years since I've eaten fish sticks, and I don't plan to start anytime soon.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
Yeah, collagen is much better use for the head meats.
Craig, you got questions?
Yeah, you asked everything I was thinking of, except just if you could just a little bit more about the nature of your IP. Is it a chemical process, a mechanical process? Sort of what allows you to create this collagen in a way that others have not figured out? Sort of, how should I think about the nature of the IP?
Great. Thank you for the opportunity to answer this question, because I couldn't get into it in the deck with sufficient detail. So there's four main pieces of the process. So at pre-treatment. So the pre-treatment, first thing we've done is we've eliminated what's called acid hydrolysis to accelerate the breakdown of the skins to release the collagen. Most commercial processes use acid. Produces a toxic wastewater, which you then have to clean up. We've eliminated that using cold adaptive enzymes instead of acids. We've accelerated the process by integrating a circular and water recirculation process. Not only does that accelerate the extraction process to make it competitive with acid hydrolysis, it also reduces water usage compared to regular commercial production by about 80%. We also save energy by only using one bioreactor instead of two bioreactors, because most commercial scale, they need one pre-treatment, and then they actually need another one to do washing, because there's so much residue from the acid that they have to clean that acid off in a separate reactor. So we save energy and CapEx on the second reactor. The last major piece is tied to the freeze drying. Most collagen today is spray dried. Spray dried, because collagen molecules are lighter than air, they add a molecule or something onto it, either silica or other materials that aren't desirable by the market, to make it fall through the chamber and dry. To compensate for the cost efficiency of spray drying relative to freeze drying, we've developed a novel process that raises the wet collagen solution. So after we've extracted using some ultrafiltration and nanofiltration equipment, we do what's called a post-hydrolysis step. We remove actually a lot of the water, and it goes from a 3% concentration to a 51% collagen concentration. We then don't need to add any residues because it doesn't have to fall through any chambers. We put it into the freeze dryers, no residues, and the yield is higher because you don't lose it sticking to the walls and stuff like that. And so we actually become cost competitive for high grade, low molecular weight peptides relative to spray drying. So we increase cost competitive for a higher yielding and quality drying technique. So that's kind of the start to finish improvements. We're looking at an industrial design process patent because it's the way we've combined and altered equipment, and then keeping the actual formulations, temperatures, timings as a trade secret.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for the questions.
And any updates on the round?
Well, I'm happy to say it's not a big one, but I did get 75,000 from friends and family to secure our IP and start the patent filing process. So that's happened in the last 2 weeks.